Hi everyone, welcome back to Entity Studio. I am switching gears to participate in March of Robots this year. It's a month-long Instagram challenge created by Chocolate Soup. You can find out additional information at marchofrobots.com. I'm trying to be more organized in how I participate this year. I want to be more deliberate in what I hope to achieve by the end of the month. I like challenges like this. They help me to step out of my comfort zone, and they're also really good at enabling me to problem solve for topics I wouldn't normally choose for myself. And towards that end, I have actively set some goals this year and have been working out processes that are helping me to stay on track. So my goal this year is to finish all 31 days. This is my third year attempting to participate in the challenge. I've participated last year and I posted my stuff on Instagram. The year before I did not post anything on Instagram, even though I did participate, but I had just found the challenge, so I didn't know anything about it. I learned that I could draw robots. Who knew? Either way, I've never actually finished this challenge, and so that's why my primary goal this year is to actually finish all 31 days. My secondary goal is to focus on conceptualizing these robots, basically. I want to improve on my ideation process, and so it's my secondary goal because I don't want to be overwhelmed by setting too many goals, and I wanted to keep it simple. Which takes me into some tips, tricks, and techniques that has helped me to stay on track so far for the first week. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the month, but so far they've been working, and so I figured I'd share with you guys some of the things that have helped me to stay on track. So number one is to set a goal. I wanted to do something that would help me stay focused, basically. And in order to do that, I wanted to keep it simple. So to finish all 31 days is a pretty simple goal to express. But in actuality, it may not be that simple. But we'll try. The secondary part of that, of setting a goal, is to basically write it down. I find sometimes when I write stuff down, I'm more apt to really focus on it. And so I would say go ahead and write it down, write it on a Post-it or something, put it where you'll see it. So put it on your computer, on your television, on your iPad, wherever you're going to see it, especially for those times when you'll want to quit or procrastinate. And I know procrastination is a big problem for me, so having it somewhere where I can see it all the time helps me to stay focused. The second tip that I have is to make time to further your goal. So I sketch in the morning before I go to work, and I find that it's really helpful to block out that time to just go ahead and get the super fast, sketchy, loose ideas out of the way, get warmed up, really get into a sense of what the prompt is going to be, and that sort of stuff. And that process honestly takes maybe about 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how difficult it is for me to choose one of the sketches from the thumbnails that I do. So I try to keep the sketches super fast and super loose, especially the thumbnails that I do for each of the drawings. You'll see some of that in here, but I'll probably go into my process a little more next week. And yeah, that's how I've been trying to make the time to further the goal. My thought process on this was to do most of the work in the rough sketches so that when I get home at night, all I really have to do is finalize the process. Also, I'm thinking about the prompt all day, and I'm looking at the sketch all day, and I'm thinking about things to change, and so by the time I get home, I really already know what I want to change or how I want to modify it or what direction I want to go in. So I think about it a lot during the day so that when I get home, I can just get the sketching done and I don't have to worry about creating a completely new sketch for that prompt. The third tip I have is to set a time limit. The mentality that I try to have for this one is that the sketch is good enough for the time frame that I've allotted. I'm still working on this because sometimes I do get caught up in, that's not good enough to post, nobody needs to see that, like just crazy things that pop in my head. Well, not necessarily crazy, but it's those things that come up that's not really going towards the goal that I've set for myself. So it's got to be good enough in the time frame allotted in order to have a balance in the rest of my life. So I am averaging anywhere from an hour and a half to about 3 hours on these. I'm trying to keep them to less than 3 hours, but I don't think I've gone over with any except the very first one, and that's because I was trying to do too much. And that's part of the reason why I added this particular tip, because trying to do too much is not going to help to further the overall goal. The fourth tip I have is to determine the best technique that'll keep you interested and not be overwhelming. This is difficult to balance. I find a lot of times the sketches that interest me are the ones that I want to just spend the rest of, like a whole lot of time on, but then it becomes overwhelming if you try to do too much with it. So it's definitely something that I found I needed to put down on paper so that I would be able to stop doing it, basically. But it also helped me, especially with the day one piece that I did, that I ended up using the Ohuhu markers on. It really helped me in this particular step, because now I know that I don't want to do fully rendered pieces. I spent the last few weeks doing, fully rendered pieces for my celebration series, and I didn't have the mental capacity to try and do that for a daily drawing challenge. So no way was I trying to do that. I also knew that I wanted to do some really quick and sketchy characters with very minimal backgrounds, and I didn't want to fight with color, so I wanted to do primarily black and white pieces, minimal details, because I didn't want to get into mechanical bits and pieces of anything for these particular characters. And I'm not using any references because I didn't want to get bogged down in reality, basically. So those were all things that I had to work through, and that very first day I probably worked through a lot of this on day one, because I tried to learn how to use my Ohuhu markers, and and it wasn't a fail, but it's not easy. So it's something that I'll definitely have to work on outside of this particular goal. The fifth and final tip that I have is to have fun. It sounds a bit trite, but there's no point in participating in a challenge like this unless you're having fun. I found that some design elements that I'm enjoying adding to the characters have just come out of nowhere, like the crazy mechanical teeth. I stopped trying to be super mechanical, actually, with some of the parts, and I started giving them more human-like expressions. So you'll see on some of the later pieces, especially, they have human eyes, or human-like eyes, I should say, more cartoony type eyes. I'm not an engineer, so I haven't attempted to figure out the actual physics for how any of this works, and I don't plan to. All of these things have worked towards keeping me interested, and more importantly, keeping me focused. Also keep in mind that it's okay if you fall behind on the prompts or if you don't finish. If life happens and I need to draw robots in April, then I will. These are the guidelines that I've been using to help me be successful so far in this challenge, and I'm hoping that these tips will continue to help me with week 2 and onward. I'm certainly looking forward to continuing the challenge. Let me know in the comments if you're participating in March of Robots. Have you set any goals? What are some of the challenges that you found that you had so far? Let me know if any of these tips work for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.